Yeah. And I think what happens is generally is a lot of couples just don't give their sex a lot of thought. They just think it's something that's going to spontaneously happen. And so many couples are so surprised when one day they wake up and they've fallen into a sex rut. And something we need to talk about is how do so many couples find themselves in this sex rut predicament?
Yes, I think so many couples have experienced this because in the beginning of a relationship and you meet somebody, sex often, not always, but often can feel very easy and very effortless because your sex drive is strong. You just have the chemistry is just off the charts and you're just tearing each other's clothes off and sex is amazing and, fireworks are going off all the time. But, that's the honeymoon phase. And anyone who's been in a long-term relationship or multiple long-term relationships knows that that wears off with time, and then sex, it's done sort of an about face, and all of a sudden instead of being effortless, it can start to feel like a lot of work.
Yeah. And so, what we want to discover in this podcast series is how you can go from sex being something you have to do to something you want to do.
Because let's be honest, what's the point of having sex when there's little to nothing in the sexual experience for you?
Like,
If
why?
if
Why bother? Reading a book is far more pleasurable than having sex that you just don't want to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and a question that we ask sometimes as sexologists is, tell me about the sex that you do not want to have. Because if it's not pleasurable, if you're not enjoying it, and you'd rather read a book, then it's okay to not want sex that you aren't enjoying. Um, but, I think one thing that sometimes makes this easier is to see and understand this process in people other than ourselves. So I know that you've got a really good real life example that will help people who may be experiencing some of this make sense of this. So can you tell us a little bit more about Stacey?
So Stacey, and this is not her real name.
Yes, of course.
She's 35. She's mostly happily married. She's a mother of two toddlers. We all remember that stage.
Oh
It's
yeah,
the crazy
that's
stage.
that's a tough
And
time.
yeah, and she owns a successful graphic design business. And her sex life reads like every busy couple. Sex was great and effortless when they first met. Then it started to wane after their first year together. But, it was still good enough and regular until dun, 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 the kids came along.
Yep.
And so, so after weathering a few post-birthing female complications, she's got her kids out of diapers and she's still maintaining her marriage and her business, but she's floundering to get her sex life back on track. And I remember those days. Do you remember those days when the kids were just tiny and you're trying to
Oh,
have sex and it's just like nothing is
you're
working out?
exhausted. Yes. Well, and especially when you've got toddlers, babies, you're being, like I breastfed my children for a long time, and
Yeah.
then you still have the little one, they're just touching you all the time, and you're just tired to the core of your bones. And then, and sounds like Stacey is running her own business, and as you and I as entrepreneurs can certainly relate to that. So she's a busy wife, she's a busy mom, she's a businesswoman. She sounds like a woman who does it all and wants to do it all well and perfectly, and she wants her sex life to do that too. But she's floundering here. So what's going on with Stacey? Like, what is she struggling with here?
I think intellectually she understands her relationship needs an intimate connection to keep it strong over the long term, but her body never fully cooperates while she's in bed. So out of
Mhm.
desperation, she started having guilt sex,
Mm.
the obligation sex.
Ugh, yeah.
And because she started this pattern of having sex because her partner wanted to have sex, it progressed into avoidance sex where she just avoided sex. Like she's like doing everything just to not have sex because there's nothing in it for her.
Mm. Well, what I'm really hearing in Stacey is it sounds like she really loves her husband. She cares about her marriage. It's very important to her. But she sounds like she's frustrated, and unhappy with her body and having sex out of guilt. I mean, that doesn't sound like fun at all.
I think we've all been there though. Like,
Sure.
I've been there. I've
Yep.
had I've had guilt sex. I've had obligation sex, and
Yep.
you're just I think I can only speak for myself, but in the moment you're doing what you have to do just to get through the day. And sometimes that had to include sex, and I didn't want it, but I had it and I did it. And, and it's not how we want to run our lives, but it's sometimes it just happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. And I think that's important for people to hear too, is that even sexologists sometimes have sex that is not like,
Thinking about our
fireworks.
grocery list as we're having sex. Absolutely.
It has absolutely happened, for sure. And if this is happening occasionally, again, there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but when it's that pattern. So, but of course, no wonder if this is happening every time, no wonder she started to avoid it. So okay, so here's a question. Like, is something wrong with Stacey? Like, is this sexual dysfunction?
I don't think Stacey has a sexual dysfunction. In fact, the Kinsey Institute found that fewer women have sexual problems than were previously thought. Only 1 in 4 American women are seriously distressed about their sex life. So I think with Stacey, it's just a matter of they've gotten into a sex rut, and she's having sex because her partner wants to have sex. She's not having sex because she wants to have sex. And so, that's, so why are you having sex? Like, what's the point of sex for you? For Stacey, it's just, it's a chore. It's ticking off that chore. Like, I'm done this week, this chore is done. And now I don't have to worry about it. So that's not what sex is supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, it's reassuring for me to hear that, this is not considered sexual dysfunction because, again, I think so many women feel when they get into this place that there's something wrong with me. I'm broken. So what can Stacey do to make this better?
Find out this and so much more by subscribing to the Sensational Sxx Podcast. And please grab our free gift to you. Links will be in the description. And if you like this podcast, then make sure to check out this next one coming up.